All right, this chapter is all about percents. So this is chapter 6. And the word percent is actually a Latin word that means per 100. So when you see percents, you'll see them often written as out of 100. So for example, 10% is really 10 out of 100. 0.65, so if this is the tenths place and the hundredths place, 0.65 is 65 100ths, which you can write like this. And per 100 means percent, so it's 65%. Okay, write the decimal as a percent. So you could say 21 100ths. And since it's over 100, that makes it a percent, so 21%. Or the easy way is just to move the decimal 2 places to the right. So to the right would be 21%. Here, same thing. You could do 5 100ths or just move the decimal over twice and you get 5%. Here, there's no decimal, so it's technically right there. So if you move this over twice, you need to add in zeros there. So 2 is actually 200%. 1 would be 100% because that's one whole, and 100% is a whole. 2 is 2 of those, 2 wholes. Here, if you move this over twice, it's 0.34%, and then we often put a 0 in front of that. So you can have a decimal percent. Okay, write a fraction as a percent. So if it's over 100, that is the percent. So this one's already over 100, so that is 6%. Here, so if you wanted to put this out of 100, to get from 4 to 100, you have to multiply by 25, which means you need to do the same to the top, to the numerator. So it's 25 100ths, which is 25%. The other option is you could do 1 divided by 4 in your calculator, which gives you 0.25, and then move the decimal over twice to give you the 25%. So a couple ways you could do this. 7/2, if you divide that, you get 3.5, and then move the decimal over twice, you get 350%. For 3/8, if you divide that, that gives you 0.375, which, and then if you move that twice to the right, it's 37.5%. Okay, 2 3/5. Whoa, whoops. So there are a couple ways you can do this. The way that I would probably do this is just get this one as a decimal and then know it's going to be 2 point something. So if you do 3 divided by 5, that's 0.6. So it's 2.6, which is 260%. Oh, sorry about that. The other thing you could do is you could turn it into an improper fraction. So to do that, you multiply the denominator times the whole number. So 5 times 2 is 10, and then you add the numerator to give you 13/5. Then if you divide that, you get 2.6, which is 260%. So there's no one right way to do it. There are several ways that you could do this. Okay, to write the percent as a decimal, when you had a decimal and you wanted to write it as a percent, you moved the decimal place 2 to the right. So now we're going backwards, so you're just going to take the decimal point where it is, and if it's not written, it's just at the end of the number. And you're going to move that 2 to the left now. So this is going to be 0.30 or just 0.3. Here, 127%. Well, we know 100% is a whole, so it's going to be over 1, but if I move the decimal to the left, I get 1.27. Okay. Write as a whole number, mixed number, or fraction reduced to its lowest term. So percent means per 100, so that's 75 over 100. And that's a fraction, but it needs to be reduced to its lowest terms. So you can just start dividing them by things that you know both go into them. So let's say 25 will go into both of them, but let's say you didn't recognize that and you said, well, I know 5 goes into this one and this one. So if you divide that by 5, you get 15. If you divide that by 5, you get 20. Now this is still not in the lowest form, so you can keep going. Those both divide by 5 to give you 3 over 4. That's as far as you can go. All right, 170% is 170 over 100. Now, those both divide by 10. And when you divide by 10, it's really just getting rid of a 0. So if you notice they both have an extra 0, you can just cancel that 0 out. So you get 17 tenths. So this is a fraction reduced to its lowest term, but we can make it into a mixed fraction because 17 is more than 10. So you need to think about how many times 17 or 10 goes into 17. 10 goes into 17 one time with 7 out of those 10 left over. So it's 1 and 7 tenths. Okay, now 12.5%, that's 12.5 over 100. So percent, just put it over 100 and then reduce. Now, whenever you have a decimal, one thing you can do is you can multiply it by a number to get the decimal to move over and then do your reducing from there. So this one you could multiply by 2 if you wanted to. That would make it 25 and then there's no decimal. Or you could also just multiply them by 10, which moves the decimal over once for each one. So you get 125 over 1,000 because you can't just multiply the numerator by 10. Whatever you do to the numerator, you have to do to the denominator as well. And now you can reduce this. These both reduce by 25. If you divide this by 25, you get 5. And this one by 25, you get 400. And keep going. If you divide those both by 5, you get 1 over 80. So 1/80th. Oh, I'm sorry, this was 40, not 400. I was going to say that's too big. So it's 1/8. Sorry about that. Okay, we're not going to do that. Okay, so this formula, you may not necessarily need to use this formula, but depending on how you learned percentages, some people like to use an equation, is over of equals percent over 100. So if that's you, you can use this method as well, but I'm going to show you using the PRB formula. So the P is going to represent the portion. So it's a portion of the base. So for example, let's say 10% of 50 is 5. So 5 would be the portion. It's the 10% of the 50. So it's the part of the whole, basically. So it's going to be the smaller number, oftentimes. B refers to the base, so that's what you're taking the percentage of. So the base you can kind of think of as the of number. Portion you can think of the is number, like 5 is 10% of 50. So 5 is 10% of 50. And then R is the percentage. R stands for the rate, but it's the percentage. And the one thing is you want to make sure that the rate is listed as a decimal when you put it into this formula. So if you had 50% was the rate, you would need to first put it as 0.5 in order to plug it in this formula. Okay, so basically if you want to find the portion, so a part of the whole, you just multiply the percentage by the whole, by the of. Okay. So let's say 29 people are in this class. 20.69% are female. How many females are there? Okay, so to figure that out, I can use this formula, and to use the formula, I need to identify the portion, the rate, and the base. So the base is the of part. It's what I'm taking a percentage of. So it's kind of like your total, your original amount. So I have 29 people in the class, so that's my base. That's what I'm taking the percentage of. The rate is the percent, so I need to move that over twice to become a decimal, so 0.2069. Now, just because there's a decimal in here doesn't mean it's the decimal version, right? If there's a percent symbol, you still have to move the decimal over. And then the portion, that's what I'm trying to find. So I'm going to call that x. Or you can leave it as p. So the portion is the rate, which is 0.2069, times, whenever they're next to each other, they're being multiplied, times the base, which is 29. You can plug that into your calculator. If you do that, you have 0.2069 times 29 gives you 6.0001. So we can say 6 people. So there are 6 females in the class. All right. And that's pretty typical of the classes I see here. All right. So, well, there is another way, but I'm going to keep going with the P equals RB so we stay consistent. Okay, so 150% is the rate. So for R, move the decimal over twice. That's going to be 1.5. And then I want to find 150% of 20. So the of part is the base. So I'm finding the portion. So then I just multiply them and I get 30. Okay, I will show you the other way in case you're curious. The is over of equals percent over 100. So it's a proportion, so you've got 100 here. Whatever the percentage is, it goes here. The only confusing part is you don't change it to a decimal because you're putting it out of 100. So that's already creating the decimal. The of part is 20, and you're solving for the is. And then you can do cross multiplication. So 100 times x equals 150 times 20. So you have 100x equals 3,000. And then to solve for x, you divide by 100, and x equals 30. So that's the other way. This way was a little faster, but you are welcome to use whatever is more comfortable to you. So if you're familiar with this way and you've used it before and you want to keep using it, go for it. All right, here we have 51.52 is what percent? So what percent? That means I'm solving for the percent, which means I'm solving for R. So I don't know R. What percent of 2576? So anytime I see of, I know that's the base. So the base is 2,576. And this was the is part. So this is the is, this is the of, this is the percent, right? So is 51.52. Solve for R, I'm just going to divide by 2,576. And in my calculator, I get 51.52 divided by 2576.02. And if they want it as a percent, I can move the decimal over twice to the right. It is 2%. Okay, some interesting percents. I thought these were kind of funny. 4% of remote controls are found in the freezer. Can you believe that? I'm curious as to how many of you have found your remote in the freezer. But I guess, you know, if you're eating ice cream while you're watching the latest episode of, I don't know, The Walking Dead. There's a class here on that, so. Of the 125 million households in America, how many remotes must be in the freezer? Well, 4% of 125. So this is my R of, that's my B. So I must be solving for the portion. So I've got 0.04 because 4%, move the decimal over twice. And then the B is 125 million. Now, if you want to write that as 125, 000, 000, you can. Or you can just know that your answer will be in millions. So if I do 0.04 times 125 you get 0.6, so 0.6 million. Or 600,000, basically. So if you had done 0.04 times 125 million, oops. Oh, I'm sorry. I plugged in the number wrong. 0.04 times 125 is actually 5. So we'll just go with that. 5 million. So there are about 5 million remotes in the freezer, currently speaking. Okay, we're not going to do the next one. That's more of an in-class assignment. Okay, another interesting percent. It's estimated that you will spend 3 years of your life on social media by the time you are 80, which I would have actually expected more. Maybe it will go up by then, who knows. What percent of your life is this? What percent? So I'm solving for the R. So I should have the P and the B. 3 years out of 80. So notice there's no, some people might get this confused and see the of and think the 3 is the of, but the 3 is the portion of the 80. So 3 is the portion out of 80 years. And then I'll just divide by 80 to solve for the R. And 3 divided by 80 is 0.0375. And then if I want this as a percent, I can move it over twice. So 3.75% of your life will be spent on social media. It's quite a use of your time. All right. These headphones are $19.99 right now at Fry's Electronics, and the tax on the headphone is 6% of the cost. How much is the tax on the headphones? So, I have my rate. So that's going to go in as 0.06. If I move the decimal over twice, where are these lines coming from? Those headphones are $19.99, so you have to decide if that's the portion or the base. I want to know how much is the tax. Well, the tax is going to be a percentage of the $19.99. So $19.99 is my of, and I'm actually going to write this up here because I don't want another pretty line. So the base is $19.99, and I'm figuring out what fraction or percentage of that the tax would be. So, and this is probably something you calculate often if you want to figure out the tax or a discount on an item. So 0.06 times 19.99 is, and we're going to round to 2 decimal places because we're dealing with money, and it actually comes out 1.1, so I'll write the original number that I have here, 1.1994. So if I want 2 decimal places, I want to stop here, but I need to look to the right, and if it's 5 or higher, you round that number up, so it ends up being $1.20. So you're going to pay $1.20 on tax. Okay, next one, 5% of students at UIT are from California. 27 students are from California. How many students are there? Okay, so 5%, that's my B. Now, look at this carefully. 5% of the students at UAT, so the B is the students at UAT, are from California. So the California people, that's the portion. That's a percentage of the total students. So 27 students are from California. How many students are at UAT? So 27 is actually the portion, because the total students are the students from UAT, which is the base. So the rate is 5%, which is 0.05. The base is what I'm solving for, and then the portion is 27. And then to solve for B, I'll just divide both sides by 0.05. And that gives us, drum roll please, 540. So that would mean there are 540 students at UAT. Okay. Now, amount of increase. So in a business setting, some things that should increase or that do increase your amount is sales tax, because you think it's only going to cost $10 and then you end up paying $15, right? Depending on the sales tax. So that increases the amount. If you get a raise in salary, so let's say they give you a 10% raise, that's going to increase. Markup on a wholesale price. So oftentimes businesses will buy things at wholesale price, so pretty cheap, and then they'll mark it up to make a profit. Okay, if you want to figure out how much it was marked up, so that's called the amount of increase, all you have to do is take how much it ends up costing minus how much it was originally. So that's how you find the amount of increase. So if Joe's salary has been $400 a week, beginning next month it will be $450 a week. So if I want to figure out how much it increased, the amount of increase, I just figure out the difference between the two. So it's just going to be 450 minus the 400. So the new amount minus the old amount. So the amount of increase is $50 a week. Similarly, there's an amount of decrease. So things that decrease in a business setting would be payroll deductions. So on your paycheck, there's your gross income and your net income. Gross income is what you think you're going to be making, and then net income is what you actually make once taxes are deducted and Medicare, Social Security, all that stuff. So those take your paycheck down from what they should have been. Markdowns on items, so if something's on clearance or sale, same thing, discounts. And in order to find the amount of decrease, you're still going to subtract the two, but you're just going to do it in a different order. So now it's how much it was originally minus how much it is now to figure out how much it went down. So Roxanne's new purse originally cost $60, but lucky for Roxanne, it was on sale when she bought it for $39.99. So to figure out how much it decreased, you just take the original cost minus the new cost, and that gives you $20.01. So that's the amount of decrease. All right. Employers often give their employees a cost of living raise each year. It's based off the Social Security cost of living adjustment. And I was looking it up for 2018. It projected a cost of living raise of about 2%. Now, not every business is required to do this, but often they will. So if you were getting an annual salary of $42,000 in 2017, how much would you expect to receive as your annual salary in 2018? So you basically need to figure out 2%, right? And then it's going to increase by that amount. So you need 2% of 42,000. So if you use your PRB formula, the rate is 0.02, 2%. The base is 42,000. And by the way, anytime you want a percent of a number, all you have to do is multiply the number times the percent. As long as the percent is in decimal form, that's all you have to do. So you can kind of think of this of as being multiplication here. So we have 0.02 times 42,000. That is $840. So that is going to cause your salary to increase. So it's going to be $840. And there are just some interesting percents of what the cost of living adjustments were. So if you notice, they used to be much higher. In 2009, it did go up quite a bit, the cost of living. Notice there was no change in 2016. So in 2010, 2011, probably because it went up so much in 2009, right? So this is the percent they give for people on Social Security. And then businesses can decide whether or not they want to adjust your wage for the cost of living, which hopefully they say yes. Okay, about a year ago, maybe a little longer now, news sources stated that Netflix was raising its prices by 10% for the standard plan. The standard plan was $9.99. What will the new price be? So it's raising its prices by 10%. Oops. So, sorry, I just realized I forgot to finish answering this question. How much would you expect to receive as your salary? Increase means it's going up, so you're going to add that to the old amount. So you'll now be making $42,840. Okay, my apologies. Okay, back to this one. So we want to know the new price. So in order to find the new price, I first need to figure out 10% of the original amount. So using my formula that deals with percentages, I want 10% of $9.99. So this is going to be 0.10 or just 0.1. My base is $9.99. And like I said before, if you just want a percent of a number, you can just multiply them together. Just make sure that you've converted the percent to a decimal. And then if you just do 10% of $9.99, if you just multiply the two together, you end up getting 0.999, which it's money, so we would just want to use two decimal places, so that actually rounds up to $1. So then that's 10%, but that was not the question. The question is, what will the new price be? So I need to add that since it's increasing to the $9.99, which gives us $10.99. All right, student discount. So Allstate Insurance will actually give students with good grades a 20% discount. I was looking this up. Geico does 15%. So I think it's A's and B's, but good thing to look into if you have one of those companies, or even if you don't have one of those companies. A lot of insurance companies will give students with good grades a discount, so it's worth checking into. So if your original bill was $92 a month and you're a great student, what will the new monthly price be? So let's go with Allstate's. So first I need to figure out 20% of $92. So that means 0.20 times 92. And that's going to give you 18.4. So then what will the new monthly price be? So since I'm decreasing here, so this last one was increasing prices, this one's going to decrease, it's a discount. So I'm going to subtract that from what it used to be. And if you subtract those two, 92 minus 18.4, you get 73.6, and since we're dealing with money, I'm going to put a 0 there. So I have two decimal places. So your new bill is only going to be $73.60. So definitely worth checking into. Okay, so here are just some percent increases and decreases that were in the news. So you'll see them. You're going to see percent increase, percent decrease all over in life, in articles, and your jobs. I'm sure you'll see that as well. Okay, so apparently if you live in Houston, you're going to eat out more than other people because diners in Houston are going out to eat 5.7 times a week. If the average American is going out to eat for lunch and dinner 4.9 times a week, what is the percent increase if you move to Houston? So, the first thing you need to do to find percent increase, I'm going to write it like this. Percent increase, that's a percent symbol. It doesn't look like it. First you need to find the amount of increase. And then you're going to divide it by the original amount. So, if you were the average American eating 4.9 times a week, and then you moved to Houston, now you're going to eat 5.7 times a week. So first thing you need to figure out is how much it would increase. And as we talked about earlier, to find that, you just subtract the two, which gives us 0.8. So you're going to increase by by 0.8 times a week, but I don't want to know how much, I want to know the percent. So the percent increase, you're going to take that number and you're going to divide it by the original amount, by the 4.9. Not the new amount, the original amount. So then if I plug that into my calculator, 0.8 divided by 4.9, I get 0.16, which is 16%. So it's a 16% increase. Okay. Another problem, of those using their mobiles during meals, their cell phones, 49% have admitted to prohibiting their companions from eating so they can snap food photos. Let's be real, we've all done it. This is an 11% decrease from survey results collected in 2016. Thought that was kind of interesting. Another one in the news. Okay, so some of the biggest markups on everyday products. I'll just kind of show you these. These are just some things that they mark up before they sell it to you. So if you look at bottled water, has been marked up 4,000%, because water, I mean, you can get water anywhere. College textbooks are a 200% markup from wholesale. Prescription drugs, 443%. Eyeglass frames, that's crazy. But they know you'll pay, right? Okay, so the wholesale price for popcorn is 35%. 35 cents. I cannot talk today. And they sell it to the consumer for $6.50. If you go to the movies, it's actually probably more. What percent did they mark it up? So I want to know what percent they marked it up. So to figure out the percent, I first have to figure out how much the markup was. And then for the percent portion of it, I'm going to divide by the original amount. So that's how you do these problems when they want to know about the percent that it's marked up or marked down. You find the markup or markdown, and then you divide it by the original amount. So to find the markup, I'm going to subtract the two. So $6.50 minus 35 cents. And then that's going to get divided by the original amount, which was 35 cents. How much it cost you wholesale. So if you subtract on top, you get $6.15. And that's going to be divided by 35 cents. So 6.15 divided by 0.35 is 17.57. So you might be thinking, okay, 17.57%. No, that's not a percent yet. That's just the rate as a decimal. So you still have to move this over twice. Oops, to the right. So it's actually 1,757%. Crazy, right? Okay, the price to make one 12-ounce can of soda is 16 cents, and at the movies they sell it for $1.50, actually probably more. What is the percent markup? So again, you're going to take how much it was marked up, so 150 minus 16 cents, and then divide it by the original amount, which was 16 cents. So you get 134 divided by 16 cents. And that is going to be $8.375. And then you need to convert it to a percent. So move the decimal over twice. So 837.5%. It's been marked up. So you may want to write, if you're jotting down formulas for your notes, that once you find the rate, so once you do this, then convert to percent. Or you could say that the formula is the markup amount divided by the original, and then at the end you multiply by 100. That will convert it to a percent. So you could do that as well. Okay, in the Fry's Electronics ad, some PC gaming mice are on sale. The Viper V530 has been decreased by 41% to $9.99. What was the original price? Okay, these are a little trickier. So, I have my original price, and then minus some markdown amount, right? Is going to give me the new price. Now, if you had a markup one, it would be the original, oh, I should write it here, original plus the markup equals the new price. So mark down, you're going to subtract it, mark up, you're going to add it. Okay, so it was decreased to $9.99. So the new price is $9.99. What was the original price? So I don't know the original price, but I know that it was marked down 41% of the original price. So if you think about 41% of the original, that means 41% times the original, right? And if you write this as a decimal, that's 0.41 times the original. Well, the original is the one that I didn't know, so that was my x. So it's really 0.41x. So I have some amount, and I'm subtracting 41% of that amount to give me the $9.99. You can think of this as a 1x. 1x minus 0.41x is 0.59x. And that's going to equal $9.99. And then to solve for x, you'll just divide by 0.59. So $9.99 divided by 0.59 is 16.93. So $16.93 was the actual price. All right. Okay, and that concludes chapter 6. As always, please let me know if you have any questions.